named Kai. We have an amazing surprise for you, but I know you all are thirsty, so you're gonna have to wait because you have to be in line, just like in school. Mama, how was your New Year?
It was wonderful.
Yeah?
It
Anything
was
special?
wonderful. Oh yeah, I did amazing things with
Okay.
my personal time.
Okay, that's good. Any cleans or just
Oh yeah, I prepare myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to receive this
Yeah,
new year. So
absolutely.
I am excited.
I'm so happy for you. You look good. Look at you. You got your hair done, wearing all these glasses. Look, I'm over here just giving all these props. Amazing. But even for me, I mean, we had a little gathering. You know, we had
Yes.
family that came over. I got drunk. You know, every time you have family, somebody wants to get drunk and get loud. And once it got to 3, and I told him, get out of my house. I think you've had enough. But it was a really good celebration amongst family, and,
Yes.
and we just kept it to ourselves.
Yes.
And then New Year, my goal, I had a set a goal for myself. I said for this year, I used to practice, you know how I used to do my divine silence, right? Saying less. But this year, I feel like I want to be selfish. Not in a negative way, in a
Yes.
positive way, to say, you know what? I have taken care of everybody. I think it's time for me to take care of me.
Absolutely.
It's all deserving, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right?
No.
Because I know in our last podcast we spoke about that, right? We mentioned that, and I say, I think this is the year for me to be selfish
Yeah.
in a good way. Just take care of me.
Absolutely.
You know, put me first. I think it's
Yes.
important, people. It's always important to put you first.
Yes.
Mentally speaking, sometimes it could be exhausting when you're putting other people, not in a bad way. It's always good to help people. I'm not saying that you should not help people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying once in a while, selfish means go out, go have a drink, get a glass of wine,
Yeah.
get a glass of water,
Spend some time alone.
read, meditate. I don't run, I don't know, do anything.
Reevaluate
You know?
your
Yeah.
life, where you at, where you heading.
That's what I mean by being selfish, not in a negative way, just in a positive way to take care of you too. You know, it's very important. You can't just be giving people 90 and then, you keeping the 10. It's got to be now change it maybe to 80-20 or maybe 85 to 15. You know, you take the 85 and let other people take the 15. It's so important. You know?
Yeah,
The world is
absolutely.
changing. You need change too. Take care of you.
And we talked about this in our
Yeah.
previous episode,
Yeah.
talking about New Year resolution
Right.
and the goal settings.
Mhm.
So please make sure you go back on our social media. We are on all social media platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and you will be able to listen to that amazing episode when
And,
we share all our insights
Absolutely. And who are we giving out a shout out to, as we always do?
out of my university. We
Perfect.
appreciate you. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Adobine.
Thank you so much for that. So today, let's get to it. We have an amazing surprise. let me fix my voice real quick. Let me put on. Okay, are you listening? Are you ready? Perfect. So we have here an amazing surprise for you all. We have Dr. Kerry Strayer. She is originally from Central Ohio. After completing her educations, she has taught in Indiana, Oklahoma before returning back to Ohio. She has been teaching in communication department at Audubon University for over 25 years. People, over 25 years.
Amazing.
She teaches courses in teamwork, leadership, communication theories, and many, many more things. She has consulted with a lot of nonprofits organizations for many, many years. More recently, she has been teaching courses in conscious communication, and I cannot hear it. Let me tell you, I don't think you people understand what conscious communication is.
No.
So, and this is to hospital personnel again. So again, she's up there. She's an icon, respectful icon. In her spare time, Dr. Kerry and her husband enjoy fishing, spending time with their dog, 2 dogs, and 3 amazing cats. How are you, Dr. Kerry?
I am great, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and I loved what you were saying originally. If you don't take care of yourself,
Yeah.
you're not bringing your best self to help other
100%.
people. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
we really do appreciate you coming in and just you having a conversation with us. Well, you heard about discussing New Year and how as human beings we always have those. Well, my New Year resolution, I want to do this. What is yours, if I may ask? What's been things that you want to do, maybe to change or not change in your life?
Well, I'll say a little bit more later, but
Okay.
I have moved into the realm of hospital communication, that sort of
Wow.
thing. And so I'm continuing to work on some studies that I've begun.
I love
But I've
that.
actually started with a class this semester. We're looking at the epidemic of loneliness
Wow.
that
This
is across the country,
Interesting.
post-pandemic and with social media and with
We
all
were
that.
just talking
Yeah.
about
We were
this.
talking about that last time.
So we're
it-
putting together a study on that right
But
now.
I didn't know that will be involved with. I mean, I do know you have a PhD, but what did you study your PhD in, if I may ask again?
Well, I'll start with the undergrad.
Okay.
I was a history major and thought I was going to be a lawyer, and
Oh, my
worked for a
goodness.
lawyer a couple of years and decided that was not a great fit.
Right.
So I ended up doing a master's in political communication. So
Interesting.
looking at speech making,
Yeah.
campaigning,
Mm.
and then went on to do a PhD thinking I would continue with that,
Yeah.
but ended up doing a turn into organizational communication, how
Wow.
organizations work.
Beautiful.
When I realized in particular I could look at religious organizations,
Right.
nonprofits,
Right.
other kind of things than the big corporate world for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gotta be challenging in a world that's that I don't want to say can be challenging for women, because it is at times. What's been we're just gonna get I'm gonna jump right to it. What's been challenging for you, with, especially with the changes that's happening in just your field? What do you think that's been the challenges? What do you think has been the most rewarding? Just the pros and cons.
Yeah, one of the reasons I love and chose communication is that I could, if you will, dabble in a lot of things.
Yes.
I love history. I'm very interested in religious history. I like political science. I like a number of different things. And so communication is in some ways an umbrella of how we interact,
Right.
With each
but you
other.
can cover a lot
Right.
of different fields.
True.
And so that's why I love the field. But what has changed? I mean, absolutely all of the social media and the technology.
Yeah.
I was hearing on my way in this morning about kids wanting to buy typewriters
Oh my gosh.
because it was so old school. And I
Yeah.
thought, wow, yeah, I wrote my papers in college on a typewriter. But yeah, I mean, social media has absolutely changed everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
But one of the interesting things about that is, you know, we're gonna talk in a bit about public speaking.
Yeah.
Is since this generation is on their devices so
Yeah.
often,
Oh.
they very often have lost the capacity to do small talk,
Yeah.
Yes.
to do chit chat like we're doing right
Yeah.
here. They've lost the capacity to have face-to-face conflict because when you break up, you do it on, you know, Instagram, and when you know, have a fight with your friend, you do it
Yeah.
on, you know,
Social
YouTube
media,
or some
yeah.
kind of social media. And so I like to tell the president of the university here, and
Yeah.
as you said, I've been here a long time. I've
Yeah.
gone through 3 presidents.
Oh wow.
But the president currently is very articulate, very
Okay.
great
Wonderful.
at giving speeches and that sort of thing. But I've kind of joked with him that my students run the university
Wow.
because they can talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they're the tour guides, and they're the resident advisors, and they're the, you know, student government president and all that. So that's such a critical skill these days, even with everything that social media brings you.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that kind of scares me too when it comes. I mean, please, people, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying social media is it's a bad thing, but I think, like, do you think maybe human beings, as fast as technology is changing when it comes to communication, maybe we should figure out a way to work balance, because we're not doing that? Because I feel like a lot of us kids, even myself included, there are times where I have to catch myself. Like, okay, Kai, you need a break. Read a book or like relax. And sometimes
So
she'll
now.
give me a hard time. Like, hey, like you're, what are you doing? Like, you need moments to communicate. What do you think what's the best advice would you give to those that wants to get out of this loophole that they're in and they don't know how to escape that?
Well, you know, one thing we're doing with some of this work in the medical field is people are spending way less time outside or exercising or taking care of their physical self. And so I would certainly tell people, you know, figure out a way to, like you said, limit
Yeah.
yourself, limit your time on these devices, and, you know, spend some time interacting face to face. That's part of the loneliness.
Yes.
People aren't gathering face to face anymore. So find ways of doing that. Get off your phone and sending text, talk to someone. You know, phone calls don't happen nearly as often.
Right.
And one of the things that's important to note is that the different generations have had different experiences. It comes into their life later, the social media and all that. So your grandmother,
Right.
maybe she's unusual, she's great at social media, but my guess is she'd really like a phone call from
Yeah,
you.
of course.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, kind of re-engage with talking to people, re-engage with physical activity and moving around. I was just talking to somebody who was saying, well, I'm not sure about this whole TikTok thing, maybe
Right.
leaving.
Right.
But on the other hand, I can just get drawn into that and end up spending hours watching TikTok.
Yes.
So, you know, figure out if there's a way to put a time limit on that,
Yeah.
because as entertaining as those things are, they're not really necessarily helping you in particular. Although, I will jump back on that one and say my husband has learned to do a number of things using YouTube videos.
Okay.
I mean, they're brilliant. He
Yeah.
learned to do woodworking, and you know, he's looked at all kinds of fishing techniques that we take up. But you know, so there are things to learn.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you just cannot spend
Yeah.
so much time. We used to worry about people watching TV too often or
Mhm.
too long.
Yeah.
Now it's really spending time on their
Yeah.
devices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When one of my other a question that I have for you, in the world of AI and technology, how is AI or technology transformation impacting communication practices and research? So, what would you say when we look at those things as far as communication? Do you think there's a benefit to that?
You know, it's funny because for the last probably year, 2 years, half of my emails are AI is going to ruin everything,
Yeah.
and the other half are here's how to use AI in your classroom.
Right.
So I think we just need to be very aware of how we're using it.
Yeah.
I just read an article that they said, college students, if you're using AI to write all your papers,
Yeah.
you're spending a lot of money, and you're going to come out not personally knowing the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you've gotten, you
And
know,
improving your ways of writing.
Yeah.
your ways
That's
of
right,
writing,
yeah.
your ways of speaking.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. A good friend of mine is a top official at a big university, and he said he was just curious. So he put in 6 talking points for a speech he was going to give and asked it to write his speech. And he said it was really pretty good. But, you know, I would say it's a tool like a lot of things, like a calculator.
Yeah.
You still need to know the base level information, the
Right.
base level ways of doing things
Yes.
to do reasonability checks, right? I've also seen AI say things that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the background knowledge, you don't know
You
it's
don't know.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm also, especially with now that one thing that I also wanted to mention, I don't know if you kind of did a bit of a study on this. I think it's called Chat GPT, and a lot of kids are using it too, and they're paying money for that.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a tool kids are using too? As far as would that be considered this plagiarism? You think? How would we consider that? I mean, technically, in a
We
way.
actually just got a note from our administration
Oh,
saying,
boy.
here are 3 options. You can say AI, you know, is out there, but using it will be considered plagiarism.
Plagiarism,
You
yeah.
could say AI is out there, let it help you, let it
Yeah.
not do everything,
Right.
or we're expecting you to use AI and we're going to talk about how to use it responsibly.
Right.
So we're being asked to think about how we'd like our students to interact with it.
Gotcha. So in a way, because I just want to understand if this is going to be such an issue in the future, right? The reason why I'm asking this question, especially as far as communication, because AI can pretty much, I don't want to say it can do everything. It's almost becoming like a guide to us, right? Like, hey, I need answers. Can you give me these answers? And do you think it's going to go too far? Or do you think maybe there will be a government limitation? Because, you know, federal, they're always trying to limit certain things to make sure that we don't overdo it. Because legally, I'm sure it's going to have to happen, just kind of like we do with AI. But the reason why I'm asking this question, just that I'm noticing a lot of tech companies are spending billions of dollars, sort of like adding AI to their businesses because they want to make it more convenient, eliminate the middleman, and so they can save more money. My thing is, do you think this could be an issue in the future for us when it just comes, just in general? Do you think that will be an issue or maybe an advantage in a way, especially for up and coming, the next generation?
One of the ways that AI really worries me, and I think we would call this AI, but digital manipulation,
Yes.
is making things that are blatantly false, but that you can't tell.
No.
You can tell.
That's very disturbing to me. In terms of writing or running factories and all this kind of thing, yeah, I'm a little concerned, I guess, that it could potentially kind of create a bigger distinction between two levels of society: those who have
Of course,
learned,
right.
those who have gotten an educational degree
Yeah,
and kind of have an understanding of AI and can use it, manipulate it in
Yep.
a positive way, and the folks that are just kind of on the end of assuming it's great but not really fully understanding its power. It could potentially displace people in jobs,
Yeah.
much like we thought, that robotic kind of things might do.
Yes.
So I think we always just need to be very aware. Now, you said about, should the government regulate it? It's going to be
gonna be tough.
really hard to regulate,
Yeah.
right?
Because there's a lot of money in it.
There is
Yeah.
a lot of money involved. Now, here's another just totally interesting tangent. I guess AI takes about 10 times the energy to run as just regular Google or something like that. And so a lot of these high-tech companies are talking about putting in small nuclear plants and things to run their AI potential. So, again, that's something at least to be aware and think about, is what's the impact
Yeah.
of going to an all AI world, and right?
It's quite scary. I mean,
It
again,
is.
I'm not here to, those who are listening, this is not a takeaway to your daily life, because I know some of you love AI. This is just a way, just to educate, please. We have a professional. I think her intake is very important. I mean, we're talking about 20 plus years of teaching. So if anyone will know, will be her. So please don't take it personal. I don't want to see any angry moms. Why am I AI? No one wants to take away your AI. We just wanting to make sure that she's giving us the knowledge and the education that we needed, because again, this can not, having somebody like this is very important, people. You have to understand that. In the world that we live in, will we have somebody like you again? I don't know, Doc. I have no idea if we ever have somebody like you, because I feel like true knowledge is dying.
Yes.
And I hate to say this.
Yes.
Even in communication,
Yes.
true knowledge is dying because we're relying so much on AI and technology. Even as I'm reading through some of the stuff that I wrote and that I was doing some research, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what to ask you, because what I'm getting, it's not from the past, it's from the today.
Yes.
Like in the world of communication, this is where it is. It's like digital. And I'm like, how do I ask somebody like you who has had this experience for so long? What do you think it's important for us, especially when you're teaching? Okay, let's just talk about your teaching method for you.
Yeah.
Are you focusing more in the past, present, and future, or are you meeting yourself? Are you kind of balancing when it comes to your students? Like, where are you, especially in the world of technology
Right.
today?
Yeah, well, I teach what all of our sophomores take, a communication theory courses.
Okay.
Of course, a lot of these are based or were created,
Yeah.
decades ago.
Yeah.
Do they
Basic
still have,
tools.
right, do they still have relevance? And one of the assignments I give my students is I say, is public speaking dead? Right? Do we not need to do that anymore because of all the tools and all of the technology we have? And I would say nearly to a person, they come in back and say, no, it's not dead, it's just changed. And you will still have to do things like presentations at work or announcements for an organization you're a part of. But all of the stuff that happens online for the influencers, for the creators, I mean, that is a form of public speaking. It's
Yeah.
not often in front of a live audience.
Mhm.
So for many people, that feels a lot less vulnerable.
Yeah.
But you are still crafting a message,
Mhm.
fitting it to your audience, presenting it. You can do a little bit more editing if you've
Yeah.
got the time, but
Mhm.
you are still having to articulate what you know
Yes.
to a particular group.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
How has the field of communication evolved since you began your academic career?
Well, I think one of the great things is it's taking in a lot more perspectives. And so not just younger scholars who are doing a lot more with technology, but much more diverse scholars. I love that my national convention involves, groups studying the whole world,
Yeah.
and that they're looking at all different sorts of populations and using all different kinds of methods, because I think that's how we get at truth. Some people like to do research that they give a survey and then run the numbers,
Yeah.
and other people like to do interviews and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be a conversation back and forth between those on, what kind of things are going on. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I'm sorry. I'm just so captivated by you. I'm over here like, please keep. How do you see communication theories being applied in a real world settings, such as in the workplace or healthcare environment? Because you mentioned about conscious communication, so that's
Yes.
kind of, I really want to go back to that, so I
Which
thought this
we're
question
gonna
would be
be
good.
having an episode
Okay.
pretty soon to talk
Gotcha.
more insight
Into that.
about
Okay.
that, so.
Okay, but
Yes.
yeah, should I repeat my question again? So how do you see communications theories being applied in real world settings, such as in workplace or healthcare environments?
Well, I'll just say a little about conscious communications. And what we mean by that, because it's actually really connected into the technologies. When we got just plain email, right? Bosses, other folks assumed you send out an email, I've done my job, I've communicated. Well, I don't know if you read every single one of your emails thoroughly. I certainly don't. I pick and choose, but part of conscious communication is not only sending the communication out, but checking to see if it was received.
Yes.
And
Interesting.
part of the reason we're doing this in hospitals is it becomes really important. Did your patient understand what they need to go home and do, how they need to take their medication,
Oh, wow.
how they need to care for themselves?
Beautiful.
If you just throw it out and then assume that they
They
did,
did, yeah. Oh,
real
wow. Yeah.
possibility for problems.
Yeah.
So, I would say, so how is my teaching? I probably end up talking more to the students than I should, but I also try to do a sort of platonic method, which I ask them questions. How does this impact you?
Yeah.
How are you using this in your life? I actually give almost no tests.
Wow.
With all the technology we have,
Mhm.
if you want to know something, you can usually type it into Google
Yeah.
and you got it
You
at
get
your
an answer,
fingertips.
yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean I don't think you should know the basic stuff.
Right.
Right.
But what I'm interested in knowing is, can you apply the things we talk about? Can you apply this notion that when you try to persuade somebody, it's helpful to the extent that you can, that you know where they are, what their position is to begin with. Because people will typically not make huge swings, but they'll make small incremental changes in the way they think about things. And so, that's one persuasion theory
Yeah.
that we talk about.
I love
Yes.
that.
So I think being able to apply things is going to be the test of the educated person. Can they learn something and then take it and improve their things that they're doing, their
skills.
tasks, their skills, right?
I love that.
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
That's beautiful.
So, Kerry, now that you mentioned about being more persuasive, let's driving into the topic of your experience when it comes to communication and the tools that we can utilize to be able to create a persuade speech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm very curious. Like, what do you think, especially with not just students, anyone out there that's interested, what tools do you think would be far more important? Let's start with the basics and then maybe give us some insight.
Yeah, I would say one important thing is think about what you know.
Yes.
What is your experience? What are the sports you've been engaged in? What are the classes that have really intrigued you? What has been your personal experience with religion or with philosophy, different kinds of areas? So figuring out what kind of things you're kind of an expert on.
The topic.
So that, you can, somebody asks you to get up and talk about something, you can pull from your own knowledge. Public speaking takes practice.
Yes.
You do need to speak with other people. There are certain kinds of things, one of the things we used to talk about that I don't hear about as much, but certainly still exist, are vocalized pauses. Americans don't like dead air.
Yes.
And so to keep our conversational turn, we fill it up with all those kind of things that don't really mean much. That's something you can practice, that you can record yourself, listen to, and kind of help your speech. My own sister is a very smart person. She's a social worker, but she can come off sounding a little like an airhead. So she came to me once and we kind of talked about how do you lower the timbre of your voice so you sound more authoritative? How do you sound confident? You know the stuff that you're coming with. How do you bring that in a way that people understand?
Yeah.
Also, practicing organizing your thoughts.
Very important.
Part of what technology has done to us is reduced our attention span, right? You think about, if you go way back in history, there were preachers who would go on for 2-3 hours on a Sunday morning, and that was people's entertainment. Well, that's absolutely not the case anymore. But we've even moved from the 22 minutes of what a typical half-hour show is with commercials to 4 or 5 minutes of you being pretty interesting for people to stay tuned in. And so you need to be able to present your opening thoughts in a way that capture people, get their attention, and then organize them in a way that they're going to be able to take them away. You can't just throw out a string of interesting ideas. I mean, you can, but what will be their takeaway? If you want people to take away what it is you're saying, you need to come up with 3-4 really solid points that you're going to build around. And so, that's part of the basic idea of thinking about how to organize things. It's not just to help you, give you a roadmap, it's also to help your listeners take your major points away.
And understand the message that you're trying to communicate.
I have one more question I ask you for a second. Go ahead, Mom.
No. Go ahead.
It's just the last question that I have is just, one thing that, I guess my last question, because I'm a content creator, right? I love Instagram. Of course, I have a limit how I use it. I have a massive follower on Instagram. My Facebook, so as that. I'm trying to see, just my social media presence is very big, but I also know how to kind of balance it. I guess just because I'm a millennial, because I've seen technology, so I understand, like, hey, it's time for me to take a break and then maybe watch television or just cook, right? What do you think for somebody, like, what can I use? What other tools should I be using, especially in communication, just to better myself? I'm really curious.
Well, what I would say right now is that you're quite articulate, so that's a lovely thing.
Thank you.
The other thing I would say for people to think about is how they present themselves physically.
Yes.
Our nonverbal communication is huge. If you say something, but it doesn't look like you mean it, you say, "Oh yeah, I really love you," right? The tone of your voice, the posture, your eye contact, all of that kind of thing. People believe the nonverbal because we think that you're spending less time thinking about that. You're thinking about what's coming out of your mouth. You're not necessarily fully paying attention to your posture and all that.
Wow.
So I would say part of what taking a public speaking course or
Yeah.
doing, having options where you're doing kind of, small presentations and that
Yeah.
sort of thing is thinking about how you present yourself. One of the things I used to tell the young women is maybe wear a pair of heels, because heels make you stand up straighter.
Mm-hmm.
They give you better
And they
posture.
give you that presence.
Right, they give you presence. So, with all of these tools, the fact that we have, a camera in our phone,
Yeah.
have a friend,
Yeah.
film you and look at what are you doing, with your posture.
Body language.
Are you connecting eye contact with the audience?
Yeah.
Are you stopping? Are you using motion in a way that's useful? We used to joke about, I worked with the speech and debate team for a number of years, and good speakers use their body motion to help their speech.
Yes.
When you move to a next point, you move your body, and people kind of make that connection. And so just learning tricks like that. We now, after many, many years, have public speaking as one of the skill sets
Yeah.
that you have to choose from
Yeah.
here. And I would say it is probably one of the most useful that you can come away with. If you look at politicians today, lots of them did speech and debate, lots of them learned to present publicly. And when you look at, when we've had panels of employers in, or when you look at some of the articles on employers these days, some of the top 5 skills are all communication skills. It's speaking and writing clearly. It is being able to work with others well. It's be able to negotiate a conflict, right, and work through that in a smooth, manageable way that maintains everyone's relationships. It's being able to manage others.
Yeah.
So it's all of these communication skills that end up on the top of things, and partly it's because employers say, well, I can teach them to do the accounting, I can
Yeah.
teach them to work in this computer system, but it's not most managers' skill set to teach somebody how to do that communicating well.
That's such
And then, unfortunately, we'd love to be able to teach the managers to be better
Yeah.
communicators.
Mhm.
Somebody was, I was talking to someone last night who is leaving a job he's been at probably 15 or 16 years. And he said his boss there was just terrible. She would come in and yell at people publicly.
wow.
She would, shame folks. That is an absolutely horrible
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
management strategy.
So bad.
And so, he was saying he was looking forward to going into a new space.
Yeah.
And we would love to train managers. One of the problems that we find is both with managers and what we're finding with doctors and hospitals
Yeah.
is if you've been successful in your career, you're less willing to admit that you might be able to learn something or that you're not doing it well.
Yeah.
But in fact, many times you are. So
Yeah.
hopefully, once people get beyond, kind of this immediate, working out into the work world and that, they'll continue to do professional development. They'll continue to hone their skills. They'll continue to listen to the feedback that they're getting from others on how they come across.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I will say one thing. One of the things that we tell the folks in this conscious communication class is your homework is to go away and ask 3 people in your life how you come across as a communicator, right? Because, if you can encourage them, they will tell you. And if you're a boss, if you're somebody in charge in an organization and you're not a good communicator, you are the last one to know it, right?
Yes.
Everybody around you sees that, sees how you interact.
Yeah, that's. As you're talking, I'm just looking at all the people that I know and all of my managers, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're just
Yeah.
oh,
Take a class.
you need needed that class.
Self-reflection.
You needed a whole 6 months of that class. 'Cause, buddy, ooh, that was definitely intense for you. One of my other last question that I have, if you could give one final piece of communication advice to students or professionals, what would that be?
Well, we started off the
Yeah.
time talking
Yeah.
about improving yourself.
Yeah.
These are a lot of skills that you have, but I think a really important one is, who is your audience?
Yes. Understand your audience.
What is their level of education? What is their belief system? You are the person who can adapt to make this work for them, to make the persuasion work, to make the language work. So think about who you're speaking to.
Oh man,
Very important.
I really want to bring you back again because I'm like, this is so
Very
good.
important.
I just feel like it's not
I
enough.
really like that
It's
because
not
for
enough.
me personally, I have a huge amount of people that follow me on my social media. So, I done so many things in my life. Bodybuilding and
Right,
fitness and coaching and training. And now I'm transitioning to a whole different era with. I know that right now my audience is a little bit split. I'm trying to have people that are more into bodybuilding and physical stuff, and I have others I really want to interact and they want to learn more about other things, right? The way your way of thinking, how you cope and heal with situations and things that comes in your life. So now my audience is a little bit split, and now I'm in the middle of trying to see how I get rid of the people that shouldn't be there, because
Yeah,
eventually I know they will leave, and how I interact more with the people that I'm trying to build a community now with this new version of me.
So that's huge when you make a transition like that. You have to reestablish
Yes,
your credibility
and
to
stay
speak on
strong with
things.
that.
Yeah,
Stay strong
yeah.
with that. Yeah.
That's gonna be that's oof. That's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean,
of
I'm in a difficult time right now.
You're in a transitional
Yes.
moment.
I'm
yes.
shifting and changing and so many things. So it's a little bit scary because you don't know where you're heading, and you're trusting the journey. And sometimes you feel like you want to go back because you're like, this is where I know and this is how I'm comfortable, but change is good. And then once you start utilizing different communication tools to be able to attract the right audience and build that persuasive communication that we all try to build to attract the people that we're trying to build, it is so important. So.
And I love that you're embracing this, because change is hard for most people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oof.
We tend to hold on to what we know, what has been successful, but if you want to continue to grow as a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
You must.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, I have to, from time to time too, like, it's just the main ego, right? I'm always like, I don't want to change. I'm comfortable where I am. And then, you have someone that's so strong comes and like, no, listen, sometimes you need to. It just sticking to the same routine is okay, but you're evolving, right? Because it's all about change. It's all about evolving, right? It's finding the better version of yourself.
And what are you meant to be?
Exactly, and that is still part of somehow communication too. Because like you said, if you don't know how to articulate, how to have conversation, how to center yourself, then what are you doing? How do you step that up? Take classes.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with taking classes. Do you think it's, for those that are struggling, it's a good thing to always say, okay, I'm struggling, and especially as managers, as you've mentioned, maybe taking some kind of like speech classes or communication classes very important to them as far as just in general? Do you think it's a must?
And I'm sorry, and I also want to add in more into
Yeah.
that question. What tools of communication they should be searching? I'm
Gotcha.
talking
I love
about
that.
books, podcasts, anything that has assisted you along this journey to be able to improve your way of communicating.
Absolutely continue to do things. And there are so many different options and opportunities out there now. It's not just classes, but there are, you can take things to get certified, you can
Yeah.
take badges and those kind of things. but there also are on social media all sorts of options. Find ones that fit, you know, your current situation in life, how much time you have, the kind of energy you have to dedicate to that. But yeah, I mean, always be looking for these kind of things. Books, gosh, old school. You know, there are authors out there who are working on this kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, one of the things we talk about in communication classes is that our technology overall, but communication technology for sure, is now doubling in ways that our parents and grandparents could never have imagined. And so if you want to stay current, if you're still engaged in the workforce or wherever, you need to be paying attention to new trends, to new things that are happening. So yeah, I would say look around for classes, or, you know, form a group. We were talking about reconnecting.
Yes.
Form a group of people, be each other's accountability, what was the word I heard? Accountability buddies or something like this anyway. But, you know, hold each other accountable. Come in and have, you know, 1 week I'm gonna present on this thing that I, you know, excited about, a new cooking form or something, just so that you get that chance to, you know, practice your skills in a non, you know, critical situation, not something that's going to keep your job or not, but with friends, with people who are going to be good
Your
feedback.
community.
Yeah.
Anything that you think that's very important we didn't cover today, you would like us to cover? Just with all the questions we've asked you, I just want to make sure in this topic we didn't miss anything.
Yes.
If you wanted us to at least have that conversation. If now, we can always hold it for the next session, because I feel like there's more to this
Oh,
that I
yeah,
really want
we're
to go
coming
into.
back. Absolutely.
Maybe more deeper, because I like the conscious communication. I'm sorry, it's catching up to me.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like it's down to my soul and spirit where I can't. And now I'm gonna go home and do some homework, because I really, not to challenge you, but I really want to come in and just be on more prepared in a way that, okay, conscious communication, because I want to look into this and look at the definition of it, what it's going to do in the future. I'm very curious of this. But just for now, if there's anything that you think we didn't cover, maybe you would like to tell the audience?
Well, you know, we talked about confidence. One of the courses that you were in with me years ago was gender in communication.
Gender and communication,
Ooh.
my favorite.
It is a huge goal of mine to get my women students
Yes.
more confident before they head out.
Yes.
Because, you know, you're talking about being a doing things for others, and being a people pleaser is still very much socialized into women. And one of the reasons women make less in the workforce is that they're 7 times less likely to negotiate their salary at the beginning. And so, you know, everyone needs confidence, but I think that's one area that I particularly focus on. And, you know, part of my own story is that my mother went to medical school in 1960 when she was one of 4 women in a class of 150, one of only 2 who finished.
Wow.
So she was the pioneer, right? She
That's
took
iconic.
off. So I grew up not thinking there was anything I couldn't do.
Right.
But that's not the case for everyone. And so helping people see their own potential.
Yeah, that's
Potential.
beautiful.
Yes.
You heard it, woman. You've heard it. You heard what she said. Woman, she's trying to get you guys to wake up, especially in the world that we live today. We need it more than ever.
Absolutely.
You are the backbone of this country. So I hope that when you're listening, I will make sure if there's a way to reach out to her, she will let you guys know, maybe like via social media.
Sure. We will share
We will
her
share that at the
information.
end. So the only last thing I would like to cover, Dr. Kerry Strayer, Otterbein University professor, education, PhD in organizational communication, University of Texas at Austin, 1995, MA in politics communication, University of Cincinnati, 1987. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dr. Kerry Strayer is an experienced educator specializing in communication studies. She has taught courses such as communication theories, teamwork, organizational communication, gender, which he just mentioned, and communication. Additionally, she serves as the chairman of the Academic Affairs Committee on the Board of Trustees for Bluffton University. Correct if I'm wrong.
No,
People, come on. Iconic. Wake up. I'm trying to show her off because she deserves it.
Absolutely. I love
Okay?
the work.
In the world that we live today where we're not giving our woman props
Yes.
because we're so used to our social media, I can do anything that I want. This is a woman that have all the experiences and knowledge, which I think her students are taking. Hopefully, students, if you're listening, I'm sure she's going to share this Spotify to you. If you're going to listen, pay attention. This woman is iconic. Consume as many knowledge of hers as you can. Ask, 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 ask. Thou shalt be given. If you ask, thou shalt be given. Take advantage of the opportunity, because on our next pilot, I cannot wait to go over conscious communication.
yeah,
I'm so
that's
sorry. I'm so excited.
No, I'm going to
I'm
send,
so
I'll send you a
excited.
book.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
so excited. Oh, please send me a book so I can read it and be ready, because I am so excited.
Yes.
Mama, I'm done. I'm so happy. I don't know if
Now
you
you
have anything
understand
to
why I
add.
had like
Yeah.
all this week talking about Kerry.
Yeah.
I am honored
Oh.
that I had the opportunity to be your student.
Oh.
And we do
Oh.
still need to go salsa dancing.
She hasn't forgotten about the
Oh.
salsa day. Oh, honey. Oh, that's so good.
No, you know, one
So
of the
good.
one of the things that has been a loss for me is we have a lot less adult students at Otterbein these days. You know, they're doing other kinds of things.
Yes,
And
that's true.
I love my adult students. Actually, little secret,
Yeah.
my husband was my student.
What? Whoa, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Time out. Time out.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to get all personal right now,
I
but
love that.
how and when that happens?
Well, actually, he was in my interpersonal communication class my first semester here in 1999. He was an IT guy, had his associate's degree in that, but recently divorced and was trying to improve his own skills in
Yeah.
management. So he did organizational communication.
Wow.
And so it's a sort of long story, but
Yeah.
he was finishing up and took a final class with me and asked me out, and
He
That's
definitely,
it.
All said.
he definitely gave those communication
Oh,
tools for
yes,
you.
he did.
Now you guys are married for how long?
I'm telling you,
22
man.
years.
Wow.
That's so
Wow,
beautiful.
that's
Mazel.
beautiful.
That's so
That's
beautiful.
I just
I
want
love
to say,
that.
and I'm still like tearing up because I every time I talked about how grateful and thankful I am to have the opportunity to have Kerry as my professor. I remember when I came to Otterbein, I was only the 4th or the 5th Latin student here in Otterbein University. So I was always the one that the professors will, pick me to just kind of share my personal opinions, because I was coming from a different background, from a different culture, foreign student. So Otterbein University has been forever a wonderful university that has assisted me in develop the skills that I been applying now. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity that Kerry was my professor and assisted me with everything that I needed. So
That's beautiful. We're
Forever
we're
love you.
so grateful. Thank
Yes.
you so much for being here. So, all right. So, listeners, all right, come close. Come closer. All right, I need you to turn up those speakers, because this is my final goodbye to you. As you saw, we had such a wonderful guest. This has been such a blessing. The energy has been right. She has given us this was kind of like sitting down with somebody that knows so much, and then you just go, we had a beautiful moment, okay?
Yes.
But you have to understand, it's hard work and dedication. You know how we always say, as long as you are laboring, those fruits will always come out how you want them to be.
Absolutely.
But then you gotta water down. You can't just have seeds. You gotta put it on soil and expect it to grow into flowers.
Water,
No,
yes.
you
Water.
got to work.
Yes.
And then that's exactly what she just told us. Hey, listen, I had my seeds, planted it, I watered it down, I was patient, and then when they turned into fruits, I was able to enjoy those labor. We appreciate you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Kerry.
much.
That was
You are so
wonderful.
welcome. It's been a great
That
conversation.
was a wonderful conversation. So again, listeners, and especially women, the most important thing that I keep hearing that she has mentioned again is I'm gonna eliminate the conscious communication, but she said gender. And
Yes.
when she mentioned that, she was, my index is up. Woman. Woman, you are the future, especially when it comes to communication. Please, 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 we want you all to pay attention. Of course, I don't want to take away from the man. Of course, I don't want to take away from the man, but it's just the experience that we want women to have. So again, how can people find you on social media or just anywhere?
I'm on Instagram, but not very present
Okay.
there. Mostly,
You're more at Facebook.
I'm more of a Facebook.
Okay.
I'm old school, yeah.
Okay. Would that
But
be okay for them
absolutely.
to reach
Oh,
out to you via
certainly,
Facebook? And what will be
certainly.
your Facebook then? Like the name, is it just your
Yeah,
first
it's
and
just
last
her
name?
I think it's
First and
just my
last
Okay,
name.
perfect.
Yeah.
You've heard it, people. If you need to reach out, it's just her first and last name, and then so that will be Kerry, so Kerry, and then Strayer, Strayer.
Yes.
Reach out to her. If they see, I'm sure there might be comments. Kerry Strayer, what picture do you have as your profile, so they know it's you?
I think it's my
Just yourself?
it's a
Okay.
professional headshot.
Because you know some people don't know. They're gonna be like,
Right,
"There's so
right.
many. I want which
Yeah,
one
and
is
we,
it?"
And we will definitely make sure that we
Absolutely.
share her personal
Yes.
information on
Yeah,
social
absolutely.
media. But
Absolutely, yeah.
I just want to say to anyone who wants to have the opportunity to be teach by this wonderful lady, make sure you enroll to Ottawa University because she's still a current student teaching
Amazing.
all these communication tools to assist you in develop the right communication you need in whatever it is that you're trying to pursue in life.
Perfect. And for that note, we appreciate you. We love who you are. Always be that wonderful human being. Continue to do wonders in this world. Just understand one thing: you are not alone. You are loved.
Yes.
You are loved, and you are loved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.